Now, before we start, I should address the mistake that I made on my previous video. Way back in part 1, I referred to creator Leslie Rice as a female. She was told, presumably by management, to send the material she'd already uploaded. Her scheduled uploads were moved from the dates they were entered. Annoying, but not unheard of. The site was badly managed and they had dozens upon dozens of contributors, so it's likely she was pushed aside for someone else. Yeah, well, turns out he's actually a man. So, sorry, Leslie. I mean, I don't take back anything I said about you. I still think your addition to the document is pointless, but still, sorry. That's it. All right, let's get started. Okay, we got 3 people to get through today, so we're going to start by speeding through the first 2 because it's really the third guy who's the most interesting. But we're going to start off with William Dufresne, Suede. This guy has absolutely nothing new to talk about. Every complaint that he has is just a repeated issue of stuff that we've already read through. The guy's pretty much just an amalgam of Allison, Mars Girl, and Lindsay, only less whiny. He says that all of his statements are only in regards to events he was directly involved in, and then he immediately contradicts himself by commenting that he wasn't directly as affected as other people. He says, the earliest instance I can remember of something being off is during filming of Suburban Nights, where producers were mocked for wanting craft services and even water on set. Oh, Jesus, this again. Okay, no, I'm going to stop right here. Lindsay Ellis already lied about craft services in the last video, so I don't believe this. I need proof here, guys. Otherwise, I'm taking this with a pinch of salt, so yeah, out of here. Next. I wasn't there for the Boldly Flee, so I can't comment on that experience. However, I was greatly concerned when it was revealed to me that Doug had decided to retire the nostalgia critic character in it, as well as strongly imply that the other producers would do the same with their personas. Oh dear, this again. Okay, so basically he's just repeating the complaint about Doug not telling anybody about his retirement, and he pisses and moans that he can't leech off his popularity anymore. You didn't sign a contract. You're not getting a regular paycheck from these people, dude. It's not Doug's fault you decided to jump into something with no job security, no benefits, no guaranteed pay, no life insurance, no retirement plan, no nothing, and decide to make that your entire livelihood. I mean, you couldn't have been that stupid. I mean, you people relied on Blip to support your families? Are you nuts? You can't honestly believe that Channel Awesome's flimsy ad revenue gig would have been sustainable forever. Get a real job, dude. The majority of the producers were upset and got together over several drafts to put forward a list of grievances and suggestions. Both this list and the reactions are available elsewhere, but suffice to say, apart from spotlighting producers on the site, almost all of it was ignored. Another repeated complaint by Allison. Again, these people all know how Channel Awesome operate and are frequently frustrated with everything, but rather than just tell them to piss off and leave for greener pastures, they continue to stay and fall in line until the bitter end. I just don't get it. It's just... whatever. It's your fault. Next. I was one of the early adopters of Patreon. I made a video, not advertising it, but discussing its pros and cons. As far as I'm aware, the Channel Awesome response to this was to tell other producers not to advertise their Patreons in their videos, as it gives off the impression of e-bagging, yada yada. He once again reiterates Allison's complaint, where the producers were either too scared or too stupid to get real jobs, so they just kept bugging Channel Awesome about Patreon until they finally gave in and it shut them up. He says he wondered how he and the other producers would support themselves. Why are you guys so scared of getting real jobs? Like, I don't understand it. I mean, a real job in the real world is a good thing. It goes a long way. I mean, it'll help you financially support yourself and your family. It'll provide you with steady income. It'll help you cover living expenses and save money for the future. You'll gain professional experience. You'll have employment. You'll develop your interpersonal and social skills. I mean, you don't have to give up on video making. You don't have to work a soul-crushing 9-to-5 that you hate. I mean, try finding a job in something that you like videography, or photography, or editing. Start your own business if you don't like how Channel Awesome runs things. I mean, come on, man. You gotta do something here. You can't let a bunch of people dictate your career when they don't have to. And his last point, when I first left the site for a 2-year hiatus, the entire site got together for a farewell video. When Noah left, disregarding all other aspects, there was a heartfelt text post. When Cara and I left, our archive... Okay, so basically, just like Mars Girl, this dude is just crying about Channel Awesome not giving him some kind of final farewell video after leaving the site, and he criticizes them for taking down his videos and not letting his fans know. Well, dude, they're your fans. You talk to them. But that's it. That's all this guy has to say. Weak stuff. Nothing horrible or eye-catching. And next, we have Sean Fauz. Sean Fauz? For brevity's sake, I'll just call him Epic Fail. So this guy's only real problem was with a man named Mike Ellis, who was the company's chief organizational officer. And he recounts that one night in particular after a call, Ellis kept messaging him on Skype while he was drunk. What started as a simple enough conversation quickly became very uncomfortable. He kept asking more personal and personal details, eventually going full into, "I heard from a little birdie that you were gay. Oh, I heard you were at least bi. Oh, so you're just curious about guys then," really pushing as if he was fishing for something, maybe he was desperate. This conversation quickly turned very one-sided and even more uncomfortable as he went on, wonderful sentence structure there, as he went on telling me all the things he wanted to do to me, the things he wanted me to do to him. Just give him a shot, he said. This went on for 2 hours. For these 2 hours, I typed not one word to him, but he had this entire conversation with himself and multiple times tried the whole "sorry, I didn't mean to scare you off" tactic on me, as if it was going to make things better. So why didn't you tell him to stop? I showed this conversation log to 2 people. I believe I showed part of it to Rolo T because I was freaked the fuck out, and he was the guy I trusted the most, and I remember him being completely blown away. The other person I showed was Mashad. It would be nice if you, showed us too. Like, how come you didn't put the chat log in the document, dude? Where is your proof? Where is your evidence? Again, we have just a bunch of claims with no evidence. I just have to take you at your word. And I don't. I don't believe any of this. Sorry. I've already read through several people lying and leaving out crucial details in their story, so a lot of this is hard to swallow, man. I'm sorry. I mean, Chaos D1 and Tom White and Allison Pregler, they all showed chat logs. Why can't you? Well, then again, given the fact that those chat logs didn't actually prove anything and revealed it was actually their own faults and not Channel Awesome's, it's possible this guy is just talking out of his rear end. But nah, I don't believe you. Need evidence. Sorry. I messaged Mashad telling him, "Look what this guy is doing. I'm super freaked out." Mashad said, "Damn it, I told him he couldn't be doing this shit. I'll take care of it." And then it was never spoken of again. I never heard from Ellis again, and I have zero idea if that was part of the reason he was fired from the company or not. Okay, so, well done, Mike Mashad. Good job. I mean, what's the problem? The guy was being a creep to you, so you told Mashad. Mashad said he'd handle it, and you never heard from Ellis again. Sounds like the guy did his job to me. I mean, I don't know, I guess it would have been reassuring if he told you, "Hey man, I talked to him, he's not going to bother you anymore," but if you never heard from the guy again, then Mashad clearly took care of the problem like he said he would. I mean, I guess people were angry that Ellis wasn't immediately fired, but in a corporate setting, it's highly unlikely you'd be fired on the spot just for sending like weird messages to somebody. Like, reprimanded? Yeah. Suspended? Sure, but outright termination? I don't know. Then again, I don't even really believe this conversation took place, so what are you gonna do? What's next? Then he's going on about Seinfeld, or what? Like, yeah, that's not important, no. But yeah, I don't believe this story. I need to see chat logs, I need to see something tangible to prove that this conversation took place, man. I'm done taking you people at your word, so, no. But yeah, that's it. That was Sean and Suede. But now, folks, get ready. Because we are about to delve into the mind of probably the most unhinged person in this entire document. Oh boy. This dude is crazy. I'm not even joking. There is something very wrong with this man. Christ almighty. This is the most pathetically overdramatic whining I think I've ever had to sit through. And I sat through Allison Pregler's segment. But oh my god, this man dethroned her. How do we know? Well, he starts off his segment with a preamble. I'm not even joking, a preamble. Like he's writing some kind of huge declaration or sacred text. Oh, dear God. Let's start. My part of the Channel Awesome drama is probably a bit longer running than most. It wasn't limited to one single incident, nor even a group of smaller ones. It was one long, continuous torture session perpetrated by a man who I'm convinced has no soul, no conscience, and I'd be very surprised indeed to find out he had a heart. Oh, dear God, no. It's going to be one of those overly dramatic types, isn't he? It's also not one you heard a lot about while it was happening. This was the result of a social isolation imposed on me, if rumor is to be believed. If rumors are to be believed. Okay, so in other words, you don't even know if what you're talking about is even true. Great. Just great. This was the result of a social isolation imposed on me, if rumor is to be believed, by design, first by a fellow contributor, and then by the aforementioned soulless wretch. Like any good story, this isn't a good story at all. Mine starts at the beginning. The literal beginning. If Channel Awesome had a book of Genesis, I was there to see it written. I was one of the first contributors brought onto the site based on my Gaming Hall of Fame blogs. I was offered the position of article writer by Mike Michaud and I accepted. Also present for this job offer was one Daniel that Aussie guy Rizzo, or Aussie as we refer to him casually. Also brought onto the team as article writer was my friend Christine Cat Thompson, who started writing blogs there at my urging. For the first few months, things were great. Every evening, a massive Skype call would be conducted by Chris Rollo T. Larios and Sean Hope Within Chaos Fauz, and we would all join in. I became friends with Chris and Sean, as well as Linkara, Chrissy Goggles Diggs, Kaylin Marsgirl Salcedo, Benjamin Benzai Daniel, Patrick Cold Guy Burndon, and most of the crew from the first year. There were those I clashed with. Spoonie and I never saw eye to eye, and Angry Joe and I never got on. But that was because of personality differences with the former, and the latter was due to events which will be relayed here. Beyond those two, I got along with most everyone on the team, and we all came to be, I thought, really good friends. This didn't last. 7 years of hell. 7 years of hell? Holy Christ. Shortly after the establishment of Blistered Thumbs is when things went to hell for me. I began to notice that members of the community who I had been friends with before were less and less likely to answer my messages, whether if they were to offer them guest spots on the podcast or just to have a friendly chat. Eventually, nobody would return my messages. Eventually, the only reliable contact I had within Channel Awesome was with Mike Birdman Dodd, who had aligned to Channel Awesome management as well as regular content with members of the producer community. He relayed to me a rumor that Mike Michaud had told other producers on the site that I was trouble and that they were to keep contact with me to a minimum. I cannot verify the truth of this rumor, and even Dodd himself admitted that he could not say for sure if the rumor was true. Stop talking about rumors. Talk about facts. Include things that you can actually prove. If it was true, however, then it was a deliberate abuse tactic on Michaud's part to isolate me from the rest of the Channel Awesome community, and it is this isolation that I think led large in part to whatever would follow in my time with Channel Awesome. Well, dude, I'm sorry, but sometimes coworkers are disgruntled and don't get along. That just happens. It's the real world. Sometimes you gotta deal with it. Or don't. You can just leave because you're, not an employee. You didn't sign a contract, so just saying. We continued to produce Nerd to the Third Power, hereafter referred to as N3, and brought in additional team members. We would produce a video version of the podcast to go onto the site, as well as an MP3 download on the company FTP server for people to download and listen to. At the start, we had access to our viewership numbers via counters on the website, but these were eventually removed. When I asked Michaud for our subsequent numbers after the disappearance to gauge performance, he was consistently ignored until one time when I got a reply to the effect of, "Stop asking for your numbers, they suck anyway because nobody comes here to listen to you." This would become the lion's share of how any contact between me and Channel Awesome management. Michaud would randomly message me and tell me something to the effect of, "Your numbers are low, get them up, or you'll be booted from the site." Yet he would not tell me what our numbers were or what total we needed to get. In addition, my show and all the other podcasts were buried at the bottom of the then exceptionally overcrowded front page where nobody could find us unless they scrolled all the way to the bottom. We would always be last on the new content slider on the front page and would only remain on said slider for one day as it would be removed the next day. Meanwhile, everything else that came out the same day we did was still there. The side panel slider was for many months one slot shorter of the number of shows meant to premiere on any given day, so unless the schedule for that day wasn't completely full, which it seldom wasn't completely full, we wouldn't appear on the side panel at all. We would schedule our shows months in advance. On numerous occasions, we would schedule an episode, and then the day it was supposed to go out, we would find that our show had been replaced with something else. Typically, this was a Linkara, Joe, or Spoonie vid, or a special vid put out by the site management. At no point would we receive any warning the show was being replaced, and we would have to reschedule the episode ourselves. And because at this point the schedule was full up months in advance, that meant it would have to be scheduled 3 or 4 months down the line. The worst this got was in 1 year, it happened 3 times, so every episode that came out that year would actually be 3 or 4 weeks old, because we'd been preempted so much. This happened mainly when Michaud was doing the site updates, but it also happened on 2 occasions when Holly Brown was doing the site updates. Although when she preempted us, she would put our show up on the next day's rotation with proper placing on the new content slider and side panel. There were also a number of occasions where I would find that our entire rotation of episodes on the back-end site were deleted off the calendar. On numerous occasions, the show would be published but would not be placed on the front page or the new content slider. It would simply have its own episode page put up, and that was it. And when I went to Mashad about this, he would tell me, "Why do you care? Nobody listens to you anyway. Your numbers suck. It doesn't matter if you go on the front page." This is if he even responded at all. And when he did respond, it would be hours or even days after the fact. Many have spoken about Mashad's legendary evasiveness. Well, I got it too. Okay, I'm sorry, but usually when you say that you went through 7 years of hell, I would expect to hear something like, legitimately horrible and life-threatening. But so far, all you've done is vent about low-hanging fruit. He's like, my boss was mean to me, and I'm not popular, and more people are more popular than I am, and the site didn't show our videos, and Dude, I'm gonna be brutally practical here. Not everybody gets along with their boss, nor are bosses always fully competent with relating to people. Sounds to me like you didn't have the best working environment and it was inconvenient. That's annoying. But none of this is some ulterior motive of ultimate evil. You said you went through 7 years of hell. When's the hell gonna start? Like, this fool is literally comparing Mike Mashad not talking to him, or being mean to him, or having his videos not updated on the site with being tortured. Like, what? Dude, what is wrong with you? He would also randomly message me to offer feedback on the show. Invariably, it was negative and mostly abusive. "Your background music sucks. You need to lose the British girl. Skyblaze, our convention/tabletop correspondent, is from the UK. She's boring. Why do you do so many movie reviews? We got dug for that." Okay. Well, none of that is anything that I would consider abuse. I mean, rude, harsh, sure, but the criticisms are at least honest. I mean, sometimes people in the real world don't sugarcoat things. Mashad also does kind of have a point here, too. I mean, there were a lot of people brought onto the site, and a lot of them were reviewing movies. What were you doing that was different? After several years of not having any problem with how we handled our MP3 downloads, we were told randomly that all MP3 files had to be less than 20 megabytes in size. This was for a show that at the time had recorded audio from 6 people plus background music and ran for 2 hours. I had to purchase web hosting and host the files myself and send Mashad a download link, which half the time he wouldn't post, and I'd have to chase him down and make noise that he put it up to get me to quiet down. This continuous treatment from the management sent me into a deep and at times very nearly suicidal depression. Given the events surrounding what I'm about to relate, I will spare you the details of my emotional traumas. I'm sorry, what? Suicidal depression? Bro, where is this coming from? Okay, dude, you have to have been having some kind of other personal problem unrelated to the site, man, because nothing you've said so far warrants that kind of reaction. I mean, you are clearly not all there if you are contemplating taking your own life just because someone on the internet was mean to you. Because this guy never even met Mashad. He was only talking to him via, Skype and via text. He never once met this guy in person. That's insane. In fact, you know what? Let's play a little game here. I'm going to show you 2 scenarios. And you let me know in the comment sections which of these seems like a normal reaction. Exhibit A or Exhibit B. Huh. Oh, it's a message from Mike Mashad. "Hey, Dr. Gonzo, your podcast is lame, your background music sucks, and you're not funny." Well, screw you then. Jerk. Huh? A message from Mike Mashad? "Hey, Dr. Gonzo, your podcast is lame, your background music sucks, and you're not funny." Yeah, some people just don't belong on the internet. The Justin Carmichael tribute and the straw that broke the camel's back. In January of 2014, Justin JewWario Carmichael died by self-inflicted gunshot. Carmichael was a much beloved and respected member of the community. I personally didn't know him very well, again because nobody was willing to talk to me. But I thought that it would be a nice thing to do a kind of online wake, where we would bring everyone together who wanted to be there to say a few words about Justin. I didn't see anyone else talking about the idea, so I approached Mashad with the idea. In a rather, in hindsight, out-of-character moment, he got back to me immediately, and I presented him with the idea, and he said, "Well, you're not gonna have to worry about that, Gonzo." So my first thought is, he's already got something planned. But then he follows that up with, "Nobody knows who you are. They won't care about anything you're going to put together. We're going to have Doug or Lewis or someone put something together. Someone people actually come here to see." And I sat there stupefied. I couldn't believe that he had said that. Not just that he'd flat out said that to me, but that he'd said that about a plan to let people mourn a loss. And I realized that Mike Mashad never cared about anyone beyond what use he could get out of them. Oh, he would put together a Justin Carmichael tribute, but it wouldn't be about the loss. It wouldn't be about letting people grieve. To him, it was just another piece of content, something he could make money off of, even if only indirectly. I could even see his thought process. What's the only thing that sells better than sex? Death. He was thinking someone who never heard of Channel Awesome finding this tribute and going, "Oh, someone on this site killed themselves? What's that about? And what's this website he worked on?" It was never about the loss. It was about promoting the brand. That was the moment I realized Mike Mashad was not and never was a man to be trusted. And that was the moment I knew my days at Channel Awesome were numbered. Really? That was the moment that you knew you couldn't trust this guy? And not all the moments where he allegedly berated you and insulted your show and ignored you? Okay, pal, whatever you say. Actually, no, not whatever you say. I don't believe this guy. I think this guy's story is full of crap, I think he's lying, and I think this whole thing is a complete load of nonsense. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons.
Let's just think about the logic, shall we? Let's just think about it for a second.
Reason number 1. Justin Carmichael was a very popular contributor in the internet reviewer community, and everybody did tributes to the guy when he passed, even people who didn't know him. So, dude, you could have just done this anyway, because Mashad isn't your boss. You're not getting a regular paycheck from him. You didn't sign a contract to be there. If you wanted to hold a wake, hold one. Why would you ask for Mashad's permission? You didn't have to do that. You could have easily just did this yourself and reached out to other people. You weren't employed by this guy. Reason number 2. You, my friend, are not one to talk here. You are doing the exact same thing you're accusing Mashad of doing, because you just admitted to not even knowing Justin personally. So why would you want to host a wake for a guy that you barely knew for people that you admitted never spoke to you or cared about you at all? But you still want to do an online wake for this guy? Like, bull crap. You're not better than Mashad. You're trying to cash in on the guy's death too. Friggin' hypocrite. And the 3rd reason why I believe the story is fake is because there was a former ally of the Change the Channel movement by the name of Cinematic Venom. Oh boy, here's another guy I'm going to have to talk about soon. But he received an email from a colleague of Dr. Gonzo's who highlights this entire segment of the document being completely false.
And I also find it funny that these people are the ones who claim that other people are lying. But in their own Google document, they had some stories from Dr. Gonzo, which weren't entirely true. JewWario Memorial episode being prevented from happening. Total fiction. This is something he made up at some point. Gonzo used this as an excuse to try to convince us that leaving the site was a good idea. Once we left and the idea of a memorial show was again brought up, he simply said he had zero interest in doing it. So everybody else is lying, but you literally put something in a Google document without actually researching whether or not it was true.
Yeah, they have a knack for that. And the guy also says that the next story we're going to talk about with Dr. Gonzo's laptop crashing wasn't true, and that he got himself kicked off another podcast when he was on the site, and he had a long personal vendetta with the company, and he agrees with management that this guy was trouble. So yeah, I don't know, man. Normally in life, if everybody around you is a jerk, 9 times out of 10, you're the problem here. I mean, it makes sense given how overly dramatic this guy is being and how he even said he wanted Mike Mashad to be homeless and eating dead rats to survive. So yeah, this clearly doesn't add up. You know what I think? I think these people just needed another Mike Mashad as the devil story just to get more sympathy. And, oh man, they are going to regret adding this story in the document because believe you me, guys, God, it just makes everyone look so stupid. But we will get to that in due time. The transition from that guy with the glasses to Channel Awesome and my final exit. Around the time the company moved from that guy with the glasses website to the current Channel Awesome domain, I suffered a laptop crash and lost my login credentials to the site backend. I want to say it was just after the transition, as I have vague memories of at least one episode of N3 going up on the new site. I sent numerous messages to Mashad asking for him to send me my credentials so I could log in and schedule shows, but I never received any reply. Finally, after a few months of this, I got a message from one of my team members on the show over Facebook. Did you pull the show from Channel Awesome? And I didn't know what he meant. And he said, our show page on the Channel Awesome website is gone. All of our episodes we have there are gone. And I looked on the website, and sure enough, our show listing was gone, as were any links on the front page for us. And when I logged into my Channel Awesome email address, I was provided the email billysmith@channelawesome.com. Fat load of good that did me. I found that it had been shut down. So all my emails, all my messages, poof, not there anymore. And that's how I found out we'd been cut from Channel Awesome. No notice, no warning, no nice, we wish Dr. Gonzo the best of luck on the website, just cut away like a stray lock of hair. You know, I really hope that email is true and this story is fake and you are lying about this, because this makes you sound very stupid in hindsight. Like, dude, how dense are you? I mean, you know this guy didn't care about you, and months went by where you were out of the loop because you didn't have the credentials to log in. Like, seriously, months. I'd assume after a couple of days of calling this guy nonstop and hearing nothing, you would take the hint. Because that's a long time where you're not able to log in, man. Dude, I mean, you've already whined for like 7 pages straight about how this guy never talked to you and nobody cared, but now you're suddenly shocked that he didn't care to let you know that you were dropped from the site and didn't wish you well in your future endeavors. I don't know, man. It just sounds like you were never high enough on the totem pole for anybody to care. I mean, Dr. Gonzo is clearly a guy who in this social media environment wanted this creative content community, but unfortunately other people didn't see it that way. They simply looked at it like a business and you were not seen as a moneymaker. That sucks, but you know, dude, you're a grown-ass man. You gotta take control of your life. You gotta get yourself on a better site with better options. You gotta do what's best for you. You have to grow up. This is pathetic. All I'm getting out of this is that Mike Bashad isn't very nice or competent. That happens. That's the real world. People aren't always gonna be nice to you. That's just the way it is. But there is nothing here, man. There is no violation of any legal harm or anything substantive to use here. And given Cinematic Venom's email and Dr. Gonzo's palpable biases towards the company, I highly doubt this story is even true to begin with. Whatever. One final note. Jesus Christ, it's an entire page. Come on, we can do this. Let's go. I'm sure you will hear from many former Channel Awesome contributors about the awesome producer community, how it was a tight-knit group of friends who stood up for and helped each other and got along oh so well. But let me tell you, after Aussiegate, yeah, I'm not even going to bother looking up what that is. I don't remember any of that. The reason I believe that my abuse at Bashad's hands... No, you were not abused, dude. You had a negative working experience and it didn't work out for you. That's it. This is an insult to real abuse victims. The reason I believe that my abuse at Bashad's hands went unnoticed and unknown until now is because I was so isolated from the wider producer community. People that I had called friends just stopped talking to me or having anything to do with me. And people who say they're my friends now, who were back then in positions to know what was going on and could have helped me, stood idly by and did nothing. If I wanted to get anyone to come on the show, it just didn't happen, because nobody would return my messages. So after a while, why bother trying? I never got any friendly, hey, you seem like you're having a rough time, or hey, haven't heard from you in a while, how you doing? Nobody said anything in my defense throughout the entire time I was Bashad's whipping boy. You're not a whipping boy, dude. I mean, based on your testimony, the guy never cared about you. He didn't like talking to you. He didn't contact you. And when he did talk to you, he told you to get lost and nobody on the site came to see you. It just sounds like you weren't worth his time. I think you want to come off as his whipping boy so you can get sympathy. This is another interesting thing to note because Dr. Gonzo wants to complain about nobody on the site. Not just Bashad, but nobody else reached out to him to talk to him. And if that's the case, then, you know, that technically kind of makes a lot of people in this document a hypocrite, because they want to scold Channel Awesome for not reaching out and talking to people and not caring about anyone but themselves. Well, where were you guys when Dr. Gonzo needed your help, Just saying. I don't know if Mike Dodd's rumor about Bashad blackballing me to other producers is true or not. You already said this, but it would not surprise me at all. Isolating a victim from their support network is a textbook abuse tactic, and I was basically locked alone in a dark room with Bashad for all the support I was able to get from the community. So the only conclusions I can draw is that either Bashad told them to stay away, or none of them really cared enough to ask after me and find out what was happening. I don't remember the community, because frankly I wasn't a part of it, but let me be clear. The soulless, money-grubbing piece of dog shit had us all fooled. You can take one lesson from my story, let it be this. Channel Awesome is a meat grinder, and its owners and managers are fat swine feeding off the blood, sweat, and tears of good people. Them and their like care nothing for you, your well-being, or your ambitions, and they will tear you open and suckle on your energy. Okay, that's enough. I'm not even gonna, it sounds like this whole thing just didn't really foster community, and other people just didn't think of it as one. Bashad and the other producers saw it as a business, and you wanted to make friends. Your interests weren't aligned. I mean, that's rough, kid, but it's life. All in all, much like everybody else in this document, Gonzo has alleged nothing actionable. He is just whining about his job and his boss being a dick. That is it. Michaud has not done anything illegal or done anything even remotely what I would consider 7 years of hell. I mean, this guy is propping Mike Michaud up as this evil serial killer that murdered his family and kidnapped him and tied him up in a basement. Jesus Christ, he's really just a jerk who didn't speak to him, was rude to him when he did, and offered abrasive feedback, and now Gonzo is instead wasting everybody's time crying about low-hanging fruit. Like, oh, I lost my login credentials, and Michaud was mean to me, and they didn't put my videos up on time, and he kicked me off the site without telling me, and I didn't. Dude, people have bad bosses all the time. You're not special. This isn't abuse. Okay? This is not abuse at all. And honestly, bro, there's something else going on with you. I think he's projecting a lot of this stuff onto Channel Awesome and Mike Michaud's management. Something else had to have been going on in this dude's life. And honestly, bro, I can see why nobody wanted to talk to you. I mean, you over-exaggerate, you complain, you take things way too personally. I genuinely wouldn't want to work with you either. This sounds like the kind of person who would carry out a mass shooting. This dude needed to see a shrink. Like, he clearly had some kind of unchecked mental health issue that he needed to get worked out. I mean, the guy says he feels like he's locked in a dark room, being somebody's whipping boy to the point where he contemplated killing himself for a job that he set his own schedule to, didn't sign a contract for, and had no legal obligations towards. Nah, man. You needed to log off the internet, you need to go outside, touch some grass, smell some roses, take a walk, seek psychological help. Alright? You can't rely on people who you don't know to help you. And you can't allow someone who you don't know ignoring you to make you feel bad about yourself. If a shot ain't nice, and that's when you say, well, Mike, kiss my ass, I'm gonna work someplace else. Yeah, all I can get out of this is that Dr. Gonzo is just a mentally ill weirdo who projected his personal issues onto Channel Awesome and made the bad mistake of relying on people he barely knew over the internet as emotional support. And spoiler alert, the focus of the next chapter would go on to do the exact same thing. See you then.